Welcome to another episode of Chasing Rings, everyone. Good evening, fellas.
Good
Good evening,
evening. Good
gentlemen.
evening.
How's everybody?
All right, all right. So this is our last top five episode, believe it or not. We've made it through the divisions. We've made it now through every position except three. Tonight we'll be going over our top five linebackers, cornerbacks, and safeties. But before we get into that, y'all know what time it is on Chasing Rings, right?
Wait,
Wait,
what?
what?
All right, big dude, what the dilly?
My weight what tonight it emanates from the draft and where people get drafted and what it translates in the type of career that a player has. And the player I want to talk about is Bobby Wagner from the 2012 draft. So Bobby Wagner was the 47th pick or the 15th pick in the second round behind five linebackers, including Luke Kuechly, Hall of Famer. But did you know that Bobby Wagner, who was the 47th pick of that draft, had 10 All-Pro, 10 All-Pro recognitions? I should say 10 Pro Bowl recognition and 6 All-Pro nods as a linebacker at the 47th pick.
Wait, what?
G, what do you have for us tonight?
All right. I like a lot of NFL trivia. And so this one comes in courtesy of my Hornets winning. So I'm going to go to my Panthers since we're doing football. Did you all know that if you look at that Panther logo, it's patterned after the shape of North and South Carolina?
Wait, what?
Yep.
I don't think I ever noticed South before until
Yeah.
you said that.
If you go this here,
South
this is
Carolina.
South Carolina.
Wow. No.
And all this rest, not the ears, is North Carolina.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
Carolina Panthers, not North or South. Okay.
Right.
Never
And
I
knew
can
that.
rock with that.
No, they practice in South Carolina.
Do they? Is that where their camp is?
That's
Is
why
that
they're
where
called Carolina Panthers. They practice
Oh,
in South Carolina, but they play in North Carolina.
did not
Like
know
in
that.
off season.
hmm
That's
Yeah,
quite a
Char-
brand.
yeah, Charlotte's right there, not too far from the border. So I see it. I see it.
Exactly.
Yep, I see it. Okay. I like that. Well, my wait what is did you know that there has been a punter selected in the first round of the NFL draft before?
Wait, what?
What?
Who is that? Is that Vince Coleman?
Ray
What
Guy,
is that?
my friends.
I
Ray Guy.
could not guess that.
No.
I should have guessed that one.
He was really first.
Ray Guy
Hey,
was
wait,
the
did you
20
say he was the first?
no,
The first
a
round
punter
pick.
drafted in the first round. The first
Ooh.
round, not the first pick. So Ray Guy was
Oh,
drafted
okay.
23rd in the 1973 draft. Had a 14 season career with the Raiders, won 3 Super Bowls, and is the first punter in the Hall of Fame. A lot of place kickers have been drafted in the first round, plenty of them, but no punters before. So there we have it. So, anyways, that's our wait what for this show. In news, some interesting things going on in the news. So your Hornets, G, again, congrats to them on a big win the other night. Have another one on Friday coming up. But unfortunately, LaMelo Ball was fined $35,000. I don't know if you guys saw the highlights of that. I know when we were on, we all were aware that Bam Adebayo was injured, but
Right.
it was a little controversial because when LaMelo Ball hit the floor, he did grab his leg, and it looked really bad. He could have really hurt Bam badly on
Really
that.
could have.
Yeah, so he got a $35,000 fine. And something else happened in the game. Charlotte has a total of 50,000 in fines from that game. I don't know what the other 15 G's is for, but Charlotte picking up some fines there in that game in their
I thought,
victory.
did he
But
get because I haven't looked at the news today. Did he
Mhm.
also get suspended for a game or something?
he didn't get suspended as far as I know.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so no suspension yet. In our next bit of news here, Caden Boozer, the younger Boozer, or baby Boozer, I call him, has decided that he's coming back to school for another year, which I love. Glad
Yeah,
he's
I
coming
saw
back
that.
because he's definitely not ready yet. No decision on Cam yet, of course. When I first saw it, I thought it was Cam making his announcement, but no announcement from Cam yet. So Caden will be back for his sophomore year. I'm sure Duke is happy about that. Do y'all remember Mikey Williams?
Name sounds
Wide
familiar.
receiver?
Nah, point guard. So one of the top point guards in the country in the class of 2023. He is entering the transfer portal. So what happened to him, since obviously we know he's not a household name. So he was once a coveted recruit in again that 2023 class. He had committed to Memphis to play for Penny Hardaway. He got got into the legal trouble and really was defending his house, but a legal gun, can't do that. He got in trouble for that. He ended up redshirting that year and didn't go to school at all while he took care of his legal troubles. Then he transferred to UCF, played for Johnny Dawkins, who I didn't realize was coaching at UCF for a year before going to Sac State, who was coached by Mike Bibby. So he has now entered himself into the transfer portal. Did you guys know that Shaq is the GM for Sacramento State? You know how these colleges have GMs now?
I knew it was for somebody.
O'Neal?
Yeah.
He is, along with Mike.
Which is interesting. How much fun he made Sacramento as a city when he was in the league. It's interesting that he's their GM, but yeah.
Destroyed him.
Yeah. So yeah, interesting tidbit. But anyways, Mikey Williams averaged 17.1 points this past season, 3 rebounds and 4.5 assists. So it looks like he's getting back on his game. He'll be a good get for somebody, but the issue is going to be when he came back after not going to Memphis, no one really wanted him. So it's going to be interesting to see what the reaction is in the transfer portal this time around. He's come back. He's proven that he's still, the player that he was. Now somebody going to give him a chance on that big stage. I would love to see it because he was really a highly touted recruit in that particular recruitment cycle. So we'll see where that ends up for him. I'm sure we'll be coming back to that story at some point as he lands someplace. In more eligibility, I'm so over these NCAA eligibility stories, but there's probably one every day. Some of them probably getting by us. This is Oklahoma football. Linebacker Owen Heineke was just granted an additional year of eligibility in 2026. He actually started at Ohio State. Of course, when there's something shady, Ohio State's going to be involved in it. He started off at Ohio State, and he played lacrosse at Ohio State, but he only played 3 games his freshman year. And that is kind of the point of contention about his eligibility. The NCAA originally denied his eligibility, saying that, well, you played lacrosse and that was your year of eligibility. And his lawyers are saying, well, 3 games highly constitutes the beginning of a collegiate career. So that when he walked on at Oklahoma, that's a reset for him. So that's basically the premise under which he's won.
I thought it was 4 games.
That's for football, isn't it?
Yeah, I thought. Yeah, I thought it was for all sports.
To me that would make sense. I mean, I think that. Yeah, I was going to say if he didn't play, I don't see how the NCAA they waste time on stuff that they shouldn't be wasting their time on it.
Yeah, and it seems like their initial rulings, and in this case, their ruling being wrong, starts this whole cycle, and it looks bad because they made a bad ruling the first time around. So it looks like, these athletes are going through this spin cycle, fighting for something that they don't deserve. When in this case, it seems like he was justified in getting that year back. So he was one of the top defenders last year on the top 5 defense. So I'm sure he's glad to be back, and Oklahoma's glad to have him. Gee, this is right up your alley with some of the things that you've put together about college football. Beginning in 2027, the college football season is going to start possibly a little bit earlier. Not much, but a little bit earlier. And that week 0 that comes into play now, where there's only a sprinkling of teams. Usually none of the big teams play in that week 0. Well, they're saying that they want that to be the official launch for everyone. That week 0 will be the first game.
The last week in August?
Yeah, it's the week before Labor Day instead of that weekend of Labor Day. Right. And basically that would give schools 14 weeks to schedule 12 games, and would give them a little bit more flexibility for the postseason. So the season would still end the Saturday after Thanksgiving, but we would just start a week earlier, essentially.
Gentlemen, they're inching closer to what I think what we kind of put together and going to propose at some point. They're inching closer.
Yep, they're
That's a
getting
big
there.
part of it.
That's a huge part of it. That's a huge part of it. And in the last news story for this evening, the NFL has started onboarding the potential replacement officials. And the issue with this, and the reason they've started is because the collective bargaining agreement for the NFL Referees Association is about to expire at the end of next month. And it doesn't look like they are close to having an agreement, but they need to get these officials, background checks, all the stuff that you need to go through for basic employment. But they also need to start training them, because a lot of people may not know that the officials, they help out in OTAs, during scrimmages and things like that. And they certainly also need to be available for the preseason. One of the big issues with this is that once they get to a certain point, can't really turn back after that because of the economics of it. Because whatever coffers they're paying referees from, apparently they won't have enough to fund these replacement officials, and then all of a sudden have to pay the full-time officials their regular salary. So I think once they get going, we might be stuck with the replacement officials for the year.
So what's the
We're
biggest
have another
impasse?
scab strike in NFL.
Yes, sounds like it.
Yeah.
Sounds
So what's
like
the biggest impasse for the CB?
What I did see is that they didn't like some of the changes that have been implemented. I'm sure that a lot of it has to do with those reviews, because I think it's like having somebody check your work after you've already done it, essentially. So I could see them having a problem with that. But there are a variety of things that they have an issue with, though, big dude. So I don't want to say that it's just that, because I think if it was just that, they could probably strike an agreement. But I think there's much more than that.
I'm going to look it up while you're talking.
Go for it. Go for it. All right. And that's it for our news. Let's hop into our top 5 here. And we are going to start with our top 5 linebackers. Big dude, lead the way, Capitano.
All righty. Wow. Sonny Styles was my best pick, because amongst all these folks, I just think Sonny Styles is the best football player out of all these. Many people think it's Arvell Reese, but I'm going to say Sonny Styles. Anywhere in that top 5. We know they're not going to, at least I don't think they're going to show up with the Raiders, but anyone else, there's no telling about where Sonny Styles could go. I think Sonny Styles could do well in a 3-4 or 4-3 system. Same thing with Arvell Reese. I would probably prefer him in a 4-3 with the way the NFL goes with their pass rushers, rotational, great hands, a strong rusher. For sure. All these other folks, and when you call them linebackers, I have questions about where Styles and Reese could cover in the flats, but I think they've already picked up that pretty well. But they have all the skills and the freakish athleticism. And Anthony Hill from Texas is one of those folks that's a linebacker to linebacker, sideline to sideline person. Works well with the other linebackers and D-line that they have as well. Texas had a really solid defense as well, and Hill keeps resonating on the draft board as well. And of course, I would say the most athletic linebackers in terms of tackles and in terms of sacks and in terms of everything else, being able to also, I saw some of his footage where he got a great interception, a couple of one-handed things. He's got great hands, so he must have been something in another life. Jacob Rodriguez from that outstanding Texas Tech defense. I did pick them to win it. They did not, but I will continue. I will pick him for an outstanding first year to really threaten those other linebackers for who would be the best linebacker, I say, in the rookie class. I think he's going to be somewhere near there. And someone that a lot of people don't talk to, also a teammate of Zion Young, and the son of Jeremiah Trotter and brother of Jeremiah Trotter Jr., Josiah Trotter from Missouri, tremendous, and I would say underspoken player, 6'2", 237. He is a lot like Nakobe Dean from what I saw on the video. He's an outlier. And he's an outlier because people haven't said much, although he was all SEC and an outstanding player in the SEC. He can play sideline to sideline. He knows how to hit his gaps. He's actually, for his size, 6'2", 237, which is good size for a linebacker. They don't play with the big, bulky ones anymore. He uses upper body violence against the linemen who try to trap him and try to keep him within and try to put their hands on him. So he uses his hands real well as a linebacker. And he's a punishing tackler. He's a person that he sniffs tackling like people in Philly sniff cheesesteaks. This guy can really tackle from what we saw. The only thing that'll be a question, of course, is whether he can cover down the field. A lot of those linebackers that can blitz well, he's an outstanding blitzer. It's almost like he was born to blitz and born to play side to side and born to also play his gaps all the way across the field. But he is the package that no one has really heard about. It will be hard to project about when he would start. I know some of the nations that I've watched, and I won't mention them, all think that within 2 years he could be in their starting lineup. So I think that he's a lot like the Eagles' former backer, N'Kobe Dean. A lot like him. I would say that he's probably quicker, and he probably has a better chance at pass coverage. So I think this is a guy that has been overlooked and could be a surprise. The value won't be seen with his draft pick, but let's see where Josiah Trotter ends up. And that's my outlier, and that's my top 5.
I told you, G, big dude is in love with Jacob Rod, not me, man.
Yeah,
He definitely is.
I am. That's right.
All right, what you got, G?
So I think David Bailey is actually the better of the two. So, and there's not much I can say in addition to Arvell, Bailey, Sonny. You know, all of them are, you could tell, are students of their roles, of their position. They play at a high level. They have high motors. They are good in both run and run game, pass game. These three are tackle machines, and that's what I look for with linebackers. Are you a tackle machine? And these three can't really say much about that. But I'm sure Gabe Jacas and Jake Golday probably surprised both of you that I went in these particular directions. And I'll tell you why. If we could do video, I was going to focus on number 4 at Gabe Jacas because 260 pounds, 6'4", and is a tackle machine. So he's going to be durable. He's going to be plugging up middles. He's going to be knocking down passes, disrupting passes. I really, really like him. And if you have an opportunity to go back and watch his highlights, you'll see exactly what I'm talking about. Pretty mobile, knows how to play his space. I mean, he's just really, really good. I think he's overlooked. And then Jake Golday from Cincinnati. Probably wouldn't expect someone to go Cincinnati. But, 104 tackles, 38 solos. That just means you have a nose for the ball. You follow it. And if you watch his highlights, you can see head up, tracking the ball, knowing how to close. I mean, this guy, he has some skills that I thought are going to really track well. He'll probably be a starter, but it's going to really track well to the NFL because the game is quicker. And so if you can keep the ball in your line of sight and you can control, and you know how to control space, and you have some mobility, you'll do pretty, pretty well. I think that because he has that nose for the ball, and he's already shown that he's a tackle machine, he's going to be fine.
Yeah, Jake Golday, I'm glad that you included him because he's been pretty consistent. Cincinnati doesn't get a lot of play normally, but his name pops up in those conversations when you talk about solid linebacker. So I'm glad to see that you have him in there. Now, I don't like it enough to put him in my top 5, but I'm glad that you have him up there. But I respect that, though. I respect it.
That's called you don't know nothing.
Hey, not the first person that's ever told me that, and won't be the last, I'm sure. Um, the obvious number one for me is Arvell Reese. I mean, I don't even know what you can say about this guy that hasn't already been said. Um, he's an athletic hybrid defender is the best way that you could really describe him. I mean, he's just that rare athlete. He's capable out of all these guys. I think that he's the most capable of impacting both a passing game and a run game. And as we know through our draft conversations and even everything that people may be hearing nationally, he brings that positional versatility to defense. I mean, he can play across the formation at inside, outside linebacker. He's a coverage defender, a pass rusher. And what I love about him the most is that to me, he's pro ready and he has pro ready discipline. And it certainly doesn't help to play under a coach like Matt Patricia. And I think that's when you even look at that Ohio State defense overall, you see that. I mean, that's a pro defense. He'll be one of many Ohio State defenders to be drafted in this particular year's draft. So no surprise there. And I think that they throw around IQ a lot with some of these players, but I think here it's really crucial to think about an athlete of this caliber that has the athleticism that he has and the versatility that he has, but also has an extremely high IQ when it comes to playing this sport. And I think that's just so dangerous. And we're about to see something really special that we probably haven't seen in a long time. I dare go out on the limb as an old head to say that we might see something similar to what we saw in Lawrence Taylor, the type of havoc that he could cause on that side of the ball. So you can certainly throw it back up in my face if it doesn't quite go that way, but I'm feeling pretty confident in that. So that's why he's my one. I think he's a once-in-a-lifetime guy. Sonny Styles, I like. Obviously, his stock went up after his combine performance, but those of us who watch college ball, we didn't need to see his combine performance to know that Sonny's in the room, Sonny's in the conversation. So same thing there with him. There's not a whole lot you could say. He's a downhill linebacker. And both these guys big, just big dudes, man. I don't know where Ohio State, well, I know where Ohio State finds them from. They transfer from Bama. I forgot about that. What am I thinking here? So they get our retreads. That's why they're so good. Sonny plays with this aggressive attacking type of style that's going to bode well for him, especially with his speed. I think he's going to be extremely disruptive against the run game. Again, inside out versatility. And I think when you look at the Ohio State players, I joke, but if you look at their defenders specifically, extremely versatile players. And if you watch any film on them, they're not just stuck in being these one-dimensional defenders. They can do it all. So that's what I appreciate. And that's why I have these two up at the top. I like Anthony Hill Jr. And again, Texas is one of those institutions that I'm not necessarily a fan of. So it's a little bit cringy for me to have one of their guys up so high. Of two Ohio States into Texas, man, what am I doing here? Hill is a sideline to sideline guy. What I like about him, if you guys got to look at any of his footage, violent type of dude. And I like violent linebackers especially. Like when he hits you, he brings it, right? So heavy contact. He has good range, sideline to sideline. His physicality is going to bode him well. One of the things that I did see about him, though, that he doesn't have consistent physicality, which is pretty interesting. So if he can bring that every play, we're going to see something special again. And here, again, we have another versatile linebacker. I think we're seeing a new age of linebacker where these guys are multidimensional, and I love it. I love what it means for the game moving forward. Hill specifically is effective dropping into coverage and has the potential to match up against wide receivers. So we'll see what his ceiling is with that. If you get a linebacker that can man up a wide receiver, that gives your defense a whole nother dimension. So we'll see if he can do that at the next level. Able to do it at college, but when you get into the league, that's a little different type of wide receiver, especially when you're dealing with a vet. I got to throw a Bama guy in there. With this won't be our best class coming out, but I had to put a Bama guy in there, Deontay Lawson. This guy's a ball hawk, and he reminds me in terms of the havoc that he wreaks around the ball of a Peanut Tillman type guy at linebacker.
I can see that.
If you look at the footage of him, he creates a lot of turnovers.
Yeah.
He's won a couple of games for Alabama this past season because he made key plays that caused turnovers at the end of games to stop drives that would have been game-losing drives for Bama. He's excellent in the passing game. Like I said, he's a ball hawk that creates turnovers. He's going to offer a team a little bit of flexibility, but he's going to have a problem with teams that have power run games. So you talk about a team like the Ravens that line up and they get Derrick Henry to that second level. That's where he's going to have a little bit of an issue. But if he can be coached up and improve there, then he can have a little bit of a higher ceiling too. So that's why I have him so low in my top 5. But again, he's a playmaker. He jumps off the screen. If you watch them play, he's a guy that's very active and always has his nose in the play. And I think an active linebacker is usually going to be pretty successful at the next level. And my last guy is a Georgia guy, C.J. Allen, who I don't think gets enough love. Really physical, middle linebacker. He works from a low center of gravity. Excellent against the run. He might not stand out athletically if you watch Georgia play, but he's fundamentally sound. He's always going to be around the ball. He's always in good position. And like I said, if you're trying to run against him, you can forget about it. One of the things that they say could impact him at the next level is short arms, of course, because they may impact his ability to disengage from blocks or contest passes. You know how we collectively feel about that. If you can play, you can play, long or short arm. So I think he'll be fine. And this is a guy who's 6'1", 235 with physicality. I think he'll be okay. And again, in today's defensive age, you don't need to be in all 4 downs, right? We have run specialists, pass specialists. Very few can play all the downs. So I don't think that will be an issue for him. So those are my top 5 at linebacker. Let's move into our cornerbacks. Big dude, lead the way.
Okay, Mansour Delane, definitely the top corner of the class. 3 years with the Virginia Tech Hokies, outstanding. First team All SEC and first team All America, not All American, All America. That's the highest distinction. So this guy has done just about it all. He can cover, he can blitz. And he's a staunch one-on-one cover guy. He's almost like Cooper DeJean with I would say some more length in him. That's the type of player I think you're talking about in this draft. He did good in all of his pro things. He rates out well with his interviews and is doing real well. I think he's clearly the best corner in the class. I think the one that is, I would say, the biggest surprise, and Guru, you actually hit me to him early on when we were doing some of our shows in our divisions. Chris Johnson from San Diego State. Boy, here's what I like about him as well. I'm really big, as you all probably noticed, on being with the same program and the value of that. Him going to San Diego State, never leaving, and excelling, at corner while not running a 4.3. He only runs like maybe a 4.5, maybe a high 4.4 at best. But not the fastest guy, but the most technical guy that plays corner. Flat out plays corner. He's also a person that can play in the alley. So he has versatility as well. But I think I would say the key to this guy is, and what makes him a person that puts him over the top, is his outstanding special teams play. He's probably one of the best gunners on special team that I've ever seen. It made some plays, also made some folks fumble, and played special teams even when he was the outstanding corner. On a lot of teams, you look at how you get other people in the game and whether there are other people to play gunners. Apparently the coaches and their staff felt that things were best when he was on the field, and he also has given the NFL a nod on that. So I'd say he's a special player. I wouldn't say he's the best yet. He has, I would say, of all the corners, probably the best upside of all the corners. Then there's Colton Hood from Tennessee. Also outstanding. This is a guy is also plays physical, 4.5 tackles for losses. He knocked away 8 passes defended. He's had a forced fumble. This guy's also another guy that can play in the slot. You know, he plays in the slot, he plays physical, and he plays nasty. And he's come out of some of those battles that they've had and made it through with the team. He runs in the 4.4s, 4.40, and I think his 4.44 was the last one with a 40.5 inch vertical. You know, so the guy is not quite 6 foot tall, not as tall as you'd like, but you know, he did also go to Auburn, been in 3 programs, Auburn, and also played for Coach Prime at Colorado for a year before transferring to Tennessee. So I think this guy has it all. He's got the great instruction. I think he had a really great year and you know, as a volunteer and a good way to finish. And I think he was also in the Senior Bowl. So he's also going to be a pick, I would say, late first, I should say early second. And then Avion Terrell, who I think is one of the most underrated. Terrell from Clemson is an outstanding player. Actually, it happens to be the same school. Even though he's a corner, he reminds me a lot of Brian Dawkins. He brings that type of thunder, that type of funk on his tackles, on breaking up passes, also on stripping the ball carrier. He seems to have a lot of special skills that somebody like B. Dawk may have had. You know, anytime there's a blitz, you know, this is guys on one side of the field, you know, he hawks the quarterback down from the other side. And I got to see some of his highlights as well, where he makes the big plays on third and short, any type of quick or fast screens to the wideouts. You know, he's coming up with power and punishment. So I think Avion Terrell, underrated, but he's going to make somebody happy. And I think he will play in the slot. Although he can play on the outside, I think the slot or the nickel is the best for him. And then Keontae Scott from the Canes, that was my outlier. It is my outlier, and he is brings pretty much the same thing. It's hard to think about what he reminds me of. I would say probably a much more, I would say, sturdier version than somebody like Frank Minifield. Y'all remember him? You know, with the Browns. I like him, but this guy's actually built a little different to really deliver some punishment. You know, he's another person that I think that's going to be a nickel, going to be a slot, can bring the funk. If he had to help out as a safety, he could. I saw him on his highlights where he could help out as a safety, but mostly even lines up in a linebacker position and can take on linemen like he is a natural linebacker. This is what I like about him. So it's almost like he goes to a, what's it called? He goes to a party where he switches identities, a masquerade party. You don't know which identity he's going to take, but he can play both roles really well. Up close to the line, off the line, and bump and run. And at his pro day, he ran a 4.36. So this is a guy that is ready. And this is a guy that had a very good national championship game against Indiana. You know, he probably played as hard as he could have. When you look at a lot of his highlights, it was against Indiana, and he did a lot of punishing tackling. So underrated, but I think as an outlier, I think once he gets started in camp, he will no longer be an outlier. And I think, again, this will be someone that will take someone's job. Go get him, Keontae Scott. That's my top 5.
Solid
nice.
5, man. Solid 5.
Yeah, that was nice. And so going into mine, you know, I don't really have much to add to Delane. My notes just say, you know, he's a sizable cornerback and he's as advertised. This dude is starter ready. In terms of 3 and 4, Johnson and Scott respectively, I think that big dude, I don't have much to add there. The only thing that I will add, looking at my notes, is yards after interceptions. If you go back and look at that, these cats, not only can they are ball hawks, but if they get an interception, they can actually get some chew up some yardage on that return, which is giving their team a better position. So that is really, really important. And so that's the only thing I would add. Now, one thing I like about Scott, and I have a note him for him, is that he's a nickel. I can definitely see him playing the nickel. And look, speed kills especially when you have skill. So if he goes to a team with a defensive coordinator that is pretty flexible and plays to the strengths of his people, he's going to be in a really good spot in my view. So Jamad McCoy, Tennessee. I can't believe I'm talking about anything with Tennessee, but but anyway.
I'm sorry, I had to laugh into the mic on that one.
All around tackler, ball hawking, another one with yak after interceptions. And so I was not on my radar until I started digging in to make my top 5. And I'm sorry, for me, when I think about this position, there are a few questions I'm asking. What are your tackles like? Passes defended. What's going on there with you? And when you do get an interception, are you just falling over, or are you returning and chewing up some space to give your team, a better position? And I thought that McCoy did a really good job with that. Same thing. I hope I'm pronouncing his name correctly. Is it Stukes or Stukes? Forgive me for chopping up his name, but this dude is a ball hawk with massive amount of tackles. Now you can look at that one or two ways as a cornerback. You're constantly getting tested, so you're having a bunch of opportunities, or you're a ball hawk and you can pretty much defend if you're getting tested, but you also have the ability to anticipate. And so there may be some places where it may not have been the person that you were getting ready to guard on an out, and then somebody undercuts you, and then you can actually have enough speed and wherewithal, like, oh crap, this is where it's going, and then you jump it. And so I was really hoping that we could do a video, and what I just explained is something that you would see. This guy really knows how to read an offense. He can read the quarterback very, very well. So if you get an opportunity to go back and look at that, please do. You're going to be really surprised at how well he can cover, but his anticipation.
All right, my top 5, again, no surprise. Mansour Delane, best cornerback in the draft by far. The only thing I guess I'll add, you guys pretty much covered him well. I mean, he's definitely a lockdown corner, pro ready, no doubt about that. He reminds me of Stephon Gilmore.
Yeah.
Same size, style of play, ball hawks, not a lot of separation between him and his guy. I mean, he gives you no space, and he's very physical. So, to me, it's not even close. And you can just tell the difference in how he plays and how he looks being in college ball for 4 years compared to these guys that sometimes leave early. I mean, he looks like, okay, I've gotten every single bit of what I was supposed to get from college, and the next level I'm ready for. The only thing, I had to try to find a knock against him, if you want to call it that he's just going to need to make sure that he keeps his pads low against some of the smaller guys, the more agile receivers, because he's got some good size on him, a 6-foot guy. That'd be the only thing if you're going to find a weakness, but I really won't call that a weakness. This guy's just a football player.
Right.
He'll be fine. Brandon Cisse from South Carolina is second in my top 5. Explosive, high twitch type of dude, crazy athletic, strong coverage ability. I like him because he's one of those old school type of cornerbacks, like very disruptive to wide receivers. You're not getting off the ball easily. There's never going to be any easy release with this dude. I could totally see him playing where you can maul the wide receivers all the way down the field. Like, he'd be that type of dude. I again think he's pro ready. He'll be a starter from day one. The only thing he just needs to be consistent with bringing max effort every play. He does have some plays where he kind of disappears, but if he can bring it, which I'm sure he'll see the intensity of the league and realize that he's got to do it if he wants to be out there, I think he'll be fine. My guy, Chris Johnson, I loved watching him climb up the charts in terms of the different draft lists. Physical off coverage specialist. He's got a real nice frame. His ball tracking is amazing. If you check out some of the highlights of him, he'll pick you if you're not careful. He'll definitely pick you. He excels in off coverage, where he can use spacing in his instincts. You'll see in a lot of his highlights that he'll get a lot of interceptions on help out plays, jumping to help and support. So he's one of those type of dudes. He's really good against the run. And he actually, I believe it, fellas, could emerge as one of the top pure corners in this draft. I think if we were doing this a few weeks later, nobody's gonna hop the lane, but I probably have him at a solid 2.
Yeah,
with big separation between 2 and 3.
I agree.
This Jermod McCoy kid, let me tell y'all, man. And G, you talked about it. Let me tell you something. This kid right here, he could be special. He could be special. And if it was not for his knee injury, I love the lane. He might be the top cornerback in this draft if he wasn't hurt last year. His film was impeccable. Now, one of the things that I did see recently is that he might have a degenerative knee situation. So he tore that ACL. 7 teams put like a red flag on him medically already. So that's going to be the big if for him. If he can come back healthy, you're looking at an all-pro. I mean, he's got everything. He's aggressive. He can basically he'll shut down your best receiver. That's the type of capability he has. He can totally take him out of the game. And again, not a small guy. Again, in that Stephon Gilmore type of frame, 6 foot, 193. Not a small cornerback, okay? He makes impact plays. And it's been a while since he's been out there. So, obviously he hasn't played in over a year. So we'll need to see what's there. But I tell you what, coming off an ACL and an allegedly degenerative knee, and he ran a 4.40 at the combine, talk to him, McCoy. That's what I'm saying right there. So I hope the young man is ready. He stands out. If you watch any tape of Tennessee's defense, he jumps out. He jumps out every single defensive play. So my fingers are crossed that he's medically good to go, because if he is, we're going to see something special. And then my last guy, Avion Terrell, at one point, if you guys remember way back, he was the top cornerback. He was the top-rated cornerback. I didn't quite understand it. Not saying that I don't like him, but the size, that 5'11", 180, that just can't work for me. But I do respect him enough that I still have him in my top 5, because the only thing really is his height that I think might hold him back. But he's great leverage, great awareness. He can play man. He can play zone. He's got strong closing speed. I mean, he's an instinct-driven guy another one of these guys who was born to play football. So I think even at his size, he's going to be impactful. But it's going to be interesting to see if they relegate him to being a slot role type of defender, or maybe being more impactful in zone defense, where I'm sure he could thrive. So it's all going to be about where he lands and what type of defensive scheme they run. But again, he's not the smallest DB that we've ever seen, but I just think with the size of some of these wide receivers in today's game, he would have a little bit of trouble at that height and that weight. But he's a tough guy, so he's going to fight you regardless of any size differential. So that's my only thing with him. Otherwise, I would have probably had him higher up. But I think all the guys that we have here, these guys are going to be pros for some time. And, just circling back to your Traydon Stoops kid, yeah, that's truth right there. Don't see a lot of the Arizona games, but what I did see of him, he's always on the ball. So that's our cornerbacks. And we will wrap up with our safeties, the finishers. Big dude.
Oh, this was the hardest group for me because I got a chance to see all their video. And let me tell you something. I mean, Caleb Downs obviously, stands out. And we could keep talking about Caleb Downs, but Caleb Downs has been a linebacker, can be a safety, can play in sets where he is a linebacker. This is a guy that can do it all. And I think he's the most NFL ready of all the safeties. probably, I would say, even within the last 2 years, last two classes, the most NFL ready of safeties in the last two classes. That's what I say about Caleb Brown. And then, of course, Guru, you did bring Emmanuel McNeil Warren to me from Toledo. Wasn't so sure until I saw his video and the number of things that he can do. I would say, in a lot of ways, he is kind of like the silent storm, of the DBs. Nobody saw him coming. Everything he's done, he's continued to move up the draft board for him. And of course, Dylan Thieneman from Oregon. The guy is a hitter. He kind of, and again, I'm dating myself again. He kind of reminds me of kind of like a Terry Hogue, Gary Fensick type player. I don't know whether you all see that, but that's kind of what he gives me. The guy that can come up, make the tackles, almost like a linebacker as well. He actually has more range than what people believe. They look at him, and he's kind of a stocky looking safety, so they probably don't, but the thing is, he's such a smart safety. I think he'll do a good job baiting a lot of people in interceptions that people thought he wasn't going to get. And he's done that with some of the major teams and major games. So very good safety that's going to make somebody happy when he gets home there. And A.J. Halsey, I didn't know a whole lot about him, but the more that I looked him up, A.J. Halsey has gotten better. And actually, A.J. Halsey, I also didn't realize that he was also getting looked at as a linebacker as well.
That doesn't surprise me at all.
What's that?
I said that doesn't surprise me at all.
Right. 5'11", 215, so do you put 15 pounds on him and do you make him a linebacker or do you make him a safety? But to be on LSU's secondary, you have to be in there somewhere. And obviously it's more about his head more than his athleticism. I think if he's going to start off, he is going to start off as a slot safety. I don't necessarily see him as one that can be a single high.
Right.
And then, speaking of silent storm, my outlier, Zachy Wheatley from Penn State. And I, like I said, I actually learned more about Zachy Wheatley as the season went on. I saw him play some last year. It was hard to tell how much he did, but after all that Penn State went through this year, this is one of Terry Smith's folks that Terry coached. That was the interim head coach at Penn State. You saw the difference in how he kept the defense going and led them into the winning streak and all they had to do to get into the bowl game they had. This is a guy that can play single high. So he plays single high, and he's got range like you wouldn't believe, and many of the different things that I saw and many of the different prognosticators felt he's one guy that can haul butt from one side of the field to the other part to slow things down. And he has very sneaky recovery speed, even when it looks like he's going to get beat. Those are some really big things. And beside that, he's a tackler. If he goes to a system and he has to play in the slot, I think that will probably benefit him a little bit more. But I think what will keep him in the NFL longer than other safeties is he can play in the slot and can play single high over top for the help and anticipate. And also has good hands and has done well against some really good competition and comes back from tough losses to get some tough wins. That was my guy for the rest of the year that I looked up. I think he's got a chance because he is versatile. He's tough, and I think he is Silent Storm 2.0. Zachy Wheatley, that is my top 5.
I like that, big dude. I like that. Gee.
Yeah, big dude, as usual, you do a really good job of going into detail on a lot of these young men. So I really don't have anything else to add for Caleb Downs, Dylan Thieneman, AJ Halsey. I really don't have much of anything to add there. They're all ball hawks, which means they have a good ability to read. They have good, spacing control, but they also know how to be a glove, and they can do that. They're all disruptive. So, there's not much I can really say about them. But Genesis Smith, if you have an opportunity to take a look at this person, Smith, all around tackles, whether he's support tackling, he has the solo tackling, he has the ability, he's a good defender, he has good hands, so he can disrupt receivers, disrupt passes. He's just all around. When you think of a safety, he's definitely in that mix. So I wouldn't necessarily put him up there with Caleb and Dylan, but I mean, he's definitely in that mix.
Yeah, good video. Real good video.
Yeah. Now, Bud Clark, I surprised myself on this one, but you know what really stood out for me? I like cats that are willing to stay, at least 3 years and do full 3 seasons. And it's not because I believe that everyone has to do it. I don't believe it. You have to do it. But I like it because I know that you're working on something. There's something you're being coached up on. And you're going to really see it. Matter of fact, Indiana won with a whole lot of people who've been around for a while. So that education happens for a reason. And you can tell 15 interceptions and 4 seasons in the college game. That's not insignificant at all. And that jumped out at me for Bud Clark. This man can intercept the ball, which means what? Positioning, intelligent, is a glove, good hands. I would have him high on my board as a team. Particularly, I think about Vegas. What if Vegas added somebody like that to their defense? Bruh. So that's pretty much it for me, man.
I like it, man. And he's a person that keeps popping up as of late. So whatever else he's doing, I don't know if it's pro day, but I see his name continue to resonate.
Yeah, man. I mean, interceptions are interceptions. And in the college game is a little different than the pro game. And you come over 15 of those joints in your college career, to me, that's just not insignificant. So he would be high on my board.
Yeah, I think that guys like Halsey and Smith and Clark, Stooks in your corner list, G. That's how deep this draft is. I mean, a lot of these guys, most people probably never even heard of before. I mean, they're not necessarily household names for us either. We watch a lot of ball, but that's how deep this draft will be. So
Yep.
for me, one of the most anticipated drafts in a long time. I can't wait, especially when you get into the second day where, I kind of casually watch the second day, but I'm going to be a little bit more glued to it, especially the early rounds that second day. So I can't wait. My top 5 closing this out. There's not a whole lot more you can say about Mr. Downs. I'm going to say a couple of things, though. This guy is so good that when I saw him his freshman year, my first statement was, man, it's crazy this kid's got to stay in college 2 more years.
Mm-hmm.
That's how good he looked. I thought if somebody could leave after their freshman year, it would have been him. So imagine how good he is after all this time.
Right.
This dude's going to be an all-pro. And the thing that gets lost about him sometimes, he can contribute in the return game on special teams. Mm-hmm. So you're getting something else from him aside from defense if you draft him. So that's Caleb. Emmanuel McNeil-Warren, I've been talking about him throughout our draft analyses. The big thing I'll say about him is I think that he has the potential to be a field general for a team. He's the biggest of our safeties, 6'2", 202. He's very physical. The one thing that he has to become more disciplined in, especially if he's not in the too high, where he's going to have another safety with him, is he's got to be better in his deep coverage discipline. Because he's so aggressive and he reads and he's ready to go, you can get burnt like that very easily on some type of offensive play design in the NFL. You be looking and running like this, trying to catch up to somebody like Puka or somebody like that. So that'd be the only thing I think he needs to improve upon. He's a ball hawk. He does everything else, run, pass. He's your guy. Dylan Daneman. This dude, I would I actually think he's ahead of Emmanuel McNeil Warren. Even though I got my guy at 2, I think Dylan's probably the second ranked safety coming out. This kid ran a 4.3. That's how he's able to cover the damn field as much as he is. So imagine Gary Fensick type running a 4.3.
Mm.
You're talking about heads getting blown in the 80s when Fensick was roaming back there. But
Yeah.
this dude, something I read about him that you guys will appreciate, they refer to him as an extension of the defensive coordinator.
Whoa.
That's the type of safety you will have if you draft this kid. His IQ is off the hook. He can play high post. He could play slot. He could play in the box. He's going to be a day one starter. And I guarantee you, whatever team drafts him, when they have their first camp day, you're going to hear how impressive he was in camp the first day. I guarantee you. So I can't wait to see him. Kamari Ramsey, which I don't know if you guys, if he crossed your path at all, if he was on your radar at all. USC guy, super, super physical. And he's got this swagger that he knows he's good and he knows he's going to knock you out if he can get to you. He's this elite top gear type of dude. He's always going, a lot of energy. He's an enforcer that I can't really say I've seen at the college level. Like he's almost like a bully back there. It's really physical. He tries to give you that extra when he tackles you. He doesn't just want to bring you down. He wants you to know that he brought you down and that you're going to get that next time if you come through there again. So I love this dude. He's got great contact balance. The big thing for him, man, is if he can get into the right scheme, this guy's going to be an all-pro as well. And he's a little bit on the bigger side, not as tall as McNeil Warren, but certainly the same in terms of his weight at 205. So I'm really looking for him to be one of those sleepers that may get drafted a little bit earlier than people think. And my guy, Michael Taft, if Taft had a little bit more weight mass, I would have him higher, but he's the smallest of our safeties. He's got the height. He's 6 feet, but he's 189. You need to get over 200, my friend. But his IQ and everything else that he does on the field, and he's a guy who I describe him as he's always where he's supposed to be at the right time. And you'll see a lot of footage of him at the end of games, shutting games down. You need an interception. You need a stop. Taft's going to be in on the play that ends the game. The thing for him, at his size, he's going to have a razor thin margin for error. So he's got to always be technically consistent. And he's a film guy. You know, he's a film guy. And guys like that, they're going to make up for it. He's like a geek in the film room. So I think that I don't know if he'll necessarily be a starter right away. He has the potential to be, but he'll probably be more of a platoon special situation type of guy. But the other X factor for him, he's a 4-phase special teams guy.
That's what I was going to say.
Covering punts, returning them, covering kickoffs, returning them. So he's going to make a team.
Oh yeah,
and he's a Texas kid. You know, enough said.
Yeah,
enough said.
That's good, man.
Enough said.
I saw special teams all up in him when I was looking at this stuff. And here's the thing: in today's NFL, you make a career out of special teams.
Exactly. I was just going to say, if nothing else, if he ends up on a team where maybe he can't crack into that defensive secondary, he'll be out there on special teams. And I would dare to say a special teams Pro Bowler because he's just that type of guy. He's a football player. You know. So that wraps up our top 5. Quite a process, very interesting. Learned a lot about some guys that we didn't know about before. Again, which makes the draft something that, you know, we want to look forward to even more. But on our next episode, we will get into some of our sleepers. But before we finish tonight, G, did you have a little bit of additional information about the referees situation?
Oh, yeah. So this is from ESPN. Apparently, the league is pushing for greater accountability, increased performance standards, and enhanced training. And so, which kind of makes sense if you think about some of the complaints that have been rising about officiating. So, for example, the NFL wants more time for coaching underperforming officials and extend the probationary period to up to 4 years, and reduce the time they cannot contact officials after the season. Also, another sticking point is the dead period, and because the league wants to assess officials during the off season, which the union is like, no, we don't want you evaluating our referees in the off season. So basically, the league wants to push it through quick, and if there's going to be any issues, any evaluation, it needs to happen within this tight window. NFL wants to have more time to thoroughly evaluate. So those are kind of like the top issues that are happening.
That's a little bit ridiculous that they want to evaluate your performance at your job. Imagine that.
Right. I know.
You know what I'm saying?
I was like, yeah, what? Come on,
right,
man.
it's crazy. And so the NFL feels that the union is just not engaging in good faith right now.
Yeah, because they want to keep getting away with the bull crap, costing people their seasons and things like that, and costing people's games with bad calls and missed calls. That's ridiculous. Now, of course, I question a little bit of New York being able to override something from New York.
I don't care for that.
But we have review. Maybe you expand the challenges a little bit more, right? If somebody's so vehement that you missed a call, well, let's go to replay.
Right.
I don't know. I know that referees used to have full-time jobs, and I could understand that if that was still the case, because when am I going to have time to do that? But you have full-time referees now. That's your job. Like any of us would not be sitting here. If we said to our employer, well, I'm going to go to my union, I don't think it's fair that you should be evaluating me in this manner. What?
Yeah, it blows my mind when people fight against improving themselves.
Exactly.
They're not saying they want to just out and out fire people. They're trying to put in several mechanisms to help the refs improve on their craft. And I'm like, that's really what they want to do. But what the refs want to do is to do whatever the heck they want to do.
Yep.
What they
That's
want.
it. Exactly right.
Exactly
right.
And they're already jammed. There's a woman that's coming against the referees already, that came in, hadn't been in there. She's got issues with the head referee guy.
Oh, wow.
So that's what part of this is also, because the NFL, she's coming after the NFL, but the referee guys, they weren't really, what do you say? I'm not so sure they were facilitating all the processes efficiently as well. Not a lot of those officials, but some key situations, there are officials that are coming after the league because there are questions about efficiency and performance. Yeah, so to me, doing it at the end rather than doing it week by week. I mean, maybe you do it week by week and add the whole thing up. And if they're intangibles, they're intangibles. But what's the problem? I mean, it's all to make a better product. And
exactly.
Yeah, I don't understand.
That's what I was going to say. It's going to make you better, and it's going to be a better product. Yeah. I don't see what's wrong with that. Okay. And you only work so many weeks. Yeah. You work what? A little bit more than a third of the year, depending on if you ref the playoffs and Super Bowl. Come on, man. Give me a break.
Then they go back for spring games where they're ref, if I remember correctly.
So this is ridiculous. It's ridiculous.
It's ridiculous. And
I'm mad because you want to improve me.
It's the whole thing is like they feel like they're entitled to be refs. Like, no, just because you're a referee, you're part of a union, you're not entitled to that job still. You still can be checked for your performance.
Right.
That's right.
That's right.
And from what we see, they need to be checked for their performance.
Well, the last couple of years have been horrible.
Exactly. I mean, it's to the point now. We've been watching football a long time. I honestly wouldn't bet my life on what a catch is.
Right.
Because I don't know anymore.
Yeah, they've
I
made
don't
the
even
catch and they've
know.
gone through the entire progression, but the progression is called something different. The progression depends upon, so somebody held on and made a catch, but they didn't hit the ground. Now the other people hit the ground and they were out of bounds. And I'm like, I thought the play was over, but they still hit the ground. I'm like, which is the progression? Did he have to go all the way down to the ground, or is it
Right.
4 steps out of bounds? It's
Right.
just so nebulous.
Yeah,
I don't
it's
know about what
ridiculous.
it's targeting either. Because I'm
Yeah.
like, if I'm running and then I'm like cupping the ball and I'm going down and another defender is already in the motion, well, you
Can't stop mid motion.
No.
Yeah,
What
can't
you
stop
do?
mid motion.
I don't know what targeting is anymore.
Yeah, I agree with you. I've never liked the targeting rule. It's football. And you know, call a 15-yard penalty. Call a 15-yard penalty if you think it was a little bit excessive, and let's keep it moving.
Right.
I know you're trying to protect players, but it's still football at the end of the day. You can't protect everything.
And when you have the league meetings at the end and you have a competition committee, if the competition committee is really going to get work done, they need a whole complete and composite review as to why you change the rules. Their part is important. All that's what, to me, the competition committee is just kind of just playing hot potato, you know, and the referees are standing and say, okay, what am I calling? Okay, let's see how good you are before we know what you're calling. Don't just say what rules they are.
When does the competition committee do the majority of its work?
They do it also before they have a big league meeting. I think is it in March? I can't remember. Or are they going to have it? I think they had it. They're already talking about
season, right?
I think it's actually, I think it's coming up actually. I think it might be right before the draft.
Which is what they're trying to do here is after the season review. I'm just like, you come on, y'all. In a way, it's already happening with that committee, and I'm glad you brought it up. But now they want to just more formalize it, where you're not just looking at performance to suggest rule changes. You're looking at performance to upskill people.
Right.
Yeah. All right. Well, I'm sure we'll talk about that some more once, you know, we'll either be stuck with replacement officials or they'll go through with their agreement. So one way or another, this will be a point of discussion, I'm sure, in the future. So we appreciate you all for tuning in again to another episode of Chasing Rings, and continue to follow us on all the major streaming platforms. For all of our top fives, we will be posting them on the different social media platforms. So be out on the lookout for those lists, and we would love your comments. Do you think we're crazy? Do you agree with us? Who do you like on our list? You know, please give us some feedback. Aside from that, our next show, we will be talking about our sleeper picks. So some names that you might not be familiar with. So if you want to have a few more names to add to your list of people to look out for your favorite team to draft next week, join us for the next episode of Chasing Rings. Until then, see ya later.